Welcome back to my channel. Today we explore the value of specific coins, the top 8 most valuable UA Abraham Wheat Penny coins, value in today's market. So, let's get started. First up, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you've ever come across one of these in your pocket change, you might want to take a closer look. In this video, we'll break down what makes the 1954 penny special, its value in today's market, and what you should look for if you're lucky enough to find one in fine condition. So, what's so special about the 1954 penny? First, let's talk about its mintage. In 1954, the Denver Mint struck over 1.1 billion Lincoln Wheat Pennies. That's a pretty large number, which means these coins are quite common in circulated condition. However, just because a coin is common doesn't mean it's not valuable. Now, when it comes to coin value, condition is everything. In numistica, the better the condition, the higher the value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with fine condition generally falling somewhere between 12 and 20 on that scale. A 1954 penny in fine condition will have visible details in the wheat stalks, the inscription, and Lincoln's portrait, but may show wear and light scratching from circulation. So, what can you expect for a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny in fine condition today? In 2024, you're looking at a value around 15 to 25 cents for a typical coin in fine condition. It's still a pretty affordable coin for collectors. But that doesn't mean it's not worth your time. However, if you happen to find a 1954 penny in uncirculated or higher grades, say in MS 65 or better, the value can shoot up to $5 to $10 or more. That's a huge leap from the typical fine condition, so it pays to check your pennies carefully. Before we wrap up, one last thing to remember. While the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny isn't the most rare or valuable coin in the series, it is still a great find for anyone who enjoys collecting these historic pieces. If you're holding on to one of these, especially in better condition, it could be worth a lot more than you thought. Next up, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you've recently found one of these in your pocket chain, or maybe you've inherited one from a family member, you might be wondering what it's worth, especially if it's in bad condition. So, first things first, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny is part of the famous series that ran from 1909 to 1958, featuring President Abraham Lincoln. The 1953 version, minted at the Denver Mint, had a mintage of about 200 million coins. Even though it's relatively common, the condition of the coin can make a huge difference in value. Now let's talk about what bad condition really means in terms of coin grading. In numismatics, coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, and anything below a good 4 or fair F2 grade is considered bad condition. These coins will show extreme wear, where the details like Lincoln's portrait, the wheat stalks, and the date might be barely visible or even completely worn down. So, what's the value of a 1953 penny in bad condition today? The short answer is not much. A 1953 penny in good or fair condition typically sells for around 3 to 5 cents. These are the types of coins you'll find circulating in pocket change or in coin jars. If your penny is heavily worn with very little detail, it may fall closer to the lower end of that range. Even though the 1953 penny might not be worth much in bad condition, it's still a collectible coin. Some collectors may be interested in adding it to their collection for historical reasons or just because they're working on completing their Lincoln Wheat Penny series. But remember, the value is primarily driven by condition. A mint state MS 1953 D penny can be worth several dollars, but in poor condition, you're really only looking at its face value or a little more, depending on demand. That being said, there are some factors that can slightly increase the value of a worn 1953 D penny. If the coin has some unique characteristics, like being a rare variety or having an error, collectors might still be interested. For instance, if you find a struck-through error, where something got stuck on the coin during production, it might make it more valuable, even if it's in rough shape. At the end of the day, if you found a 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny in bad condition, don't expect to get rich off it. However, it's still a neat piece of history, and if you're a collector, it could still have some sentimental value. It's also a good reminder to always check your coins before you toss them in the jar or spend them. You never know when you'll find something rare or interesting. Next up, the 1948 Lincoln Wheat Penny, and specifically what it's worth if you find it in a dirty, blackened condition, no mint mark, no shine. Does it still have value? Let's find out. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for all things coins, collectibles, and more. Now, I know many of you have found older pennies, like the 1948 Lincoln Wheat Penny, that are covered in dirt, blackened by age, or simply look worn out. But the big question is, what is this coin worth today if it's in poor condition? Let's take a closer look at the 1948 penny without a mint mark. The 1948 Lincoln Wheat Penny is part of the iconic Wheat series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. It was struck in copper and features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse with wheat stalks on the reverse. Now, the key thing to note about this particular coin is that it was minted in Philadelphia, which means it has no mint mark. You might be wondering, is that important for its value? Let's find out. Now, let's talk about the dirty and black condition. Pennies from this era can get blackened and grimy from years of handling, dirt, and even exposure to elements. Sometimes, the blackness is caused by corrosion or oxidation, which can be tricky for collectors. These conditions often leave the coin looking far from pristine, and in many cases, it can make the coin harder to sell for a higher value. But don't worry, we'll talk about its value in just a second. To understand its value, let's talk about grading. The condition of your coin is crucial in determining how much it's worth. In dirty and blackened condition, most 1948 pennies would fall under a good or fair grade, which means they show significant wear. Key details, such as Lincoln's portrait and the wheat stalks on the reverse, will be hard to see. The date may even be faint, which makes the coin harder to identify. So, what's the value of a 1948 Lincoln Wheat Penny in dirty and blackened condition today? If it's heavily worn, with the dirt and blackness affecting the details, you're probably looking at a value between 2 to 5 cents. Yes, it's still worth more than its face value, but it's not a big payout. These coins were minted in relatively large numbers, with over 300 million made, so they're not considered rare, even in less than perfect condition. The truth is, the dirt and discoloration will typically lower the value, and unless you find a coin that's a rare variety or has an error, the market for these coins is pretty limited. One thing I want to mention is cleaning. If your 1948 penny is dirty, you might be tempted to clean it to make it look nicer. But I've got to warn you, cleaning coins, especially older ones, can actually decrease their value. Harsh cleaning can scratch the surface and remove important details. If you want to clean your coin, use gentle methods like using a soft cloth or soaking it in distilled water for a short time. Now, even though a dirty, blackened 1948 penny in poor condition isn't going to fetch a high price, it's still a part of history, and there are always collectors who appreciate the significance of these coins. If you ever find a 1948 penny in better condition, say fine or uncirculated, those can be worth much more, sometimes up to $5 or $10, depending on the quality. So, to wrap it up, if you find a 1948 Lincoln Wheat penny that's dirty and blackened, don't expect to strike it rich. But hey, it still holds a lot of historical value, and with enough care, it might clean up to a condition that could make it a fun addition to your collection. Just remember, condition matters most in the world of coins. Next up, the 1920 wheat penny without a mint mark. Now, this penny might not seem like much at first glance, but in today's market, the 1920 wheat penny, especially in good condition, could be worth a lot more than you think. So, let's dive in and find out why this coin is so valuable. First off, if you're new to coin collecting, a wheat penny refers to a series of pennies minted from 1909 to 1958, which feature a design with 2 ears of wheat on the reverse side. The coin's obverse features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Now, this coin was minted for decades, and while most of them aren't worth much beyond face value, some years, like the 1920, are more valuable than others. Let's talk about why the 1920 wheat penny, especially without a mint mark, is significant. You see, pennies from the 1920s are a bit rarer compared to other years, and the ones with no mint mark are particularly notable. All pennies struck in Philadelphia during this time didn't have a mint mark, unlike those produced in other locations like Denver or San Francisco, which had mint marks like D or S. So, the 1920 without a mint mark is a pure Philadelphia issue. Now, the value of this coin can vary greatly depending on its condition. Coins are graded based on their wear and tear, and that directly affects how much they're worth. For example, a 1920 wheat penny in good condition, where the coin shows significant wear but the date and design are still readable, is worth around $2 to $3. But if you've got a 1920 wheat penny in fine condition, with more detail and less wear, that could push the value to $6 to $8. But here's where it gets interesting. If you happen to have a 1920 wheat penny in very fine or even extremely fine condition, the value can skyrocket. We're talking anywhere from $20 to $50 or more, depending on how pristine the coin is. In fact, if you get a 1920 wheat penny that's graded MES 63 or higher, meaning it's almost mint state, you could be looking at a value of $100 or more. That's because these high-grade coins are much rarer and in much better condition compared to the majority of pennies you'll find. Now, the most valuable 1920 wheat penny is one that's been professionally graded and preserved. In fact, a specimen in top-tier condition could potentially fetch even more at an auction, especially if it's a high-grade coin certified by services like PCGS or NGC. For example, a 1920 wheat penny with a grade of MS 65 or higher can reach $300 or more. So, if you think you've got one of these hidden treasures in your collection, it might be worth getting it professionally graded. So to wrap it up, a 1920 wheat penny without a mint mark in good to fine condition could be worth a few dollars, but if you've got one in excellent condition or better, you could have a coin worth hundreds. Always remember, the value of a coin depends on its rarity, demand, and most importantly, its condition. Next up, the 1957 wheat penny, but with a twist. What if your coin is in damaged condition? Does it still hold value in today's market? Well, let's dive in and find out how much a 1957 wheat penny could be worth, even if it's not in perfect shape. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you love learning about rare coins and their values. Now, let's talk about the 1957 wheat penny. The 1957 wheat penny is part of the long-running series of pennies that featured Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 ears of wheat on the reverse. What makes this coin stand out is the D mint mark, which indicates it was minted in Denver. The D mint mark appears on coins struck in Denver, and that can affect its value. However, no matter how unique or historical the coin is, its condition plays a major role in determining how much it's worth. Now, this coin isn't in pristine condition. It's actually in what we'd call damaged condition. Maybe it's been scratched, bent, or just shows significant wear from circulation. But does that mean it's worthless? Not necessarily. Coins with damage, especially from circulation, usually have a lower value than their pristine counterparts, but they can still be worth more than face value, especially if they're a common year like the 1957 D. The key factor here is how much damage the coin has sustained. Let's break it down. A typical 1957 wheat penny in average condition with light wear but no major damage can be worth anywhere from 5 to 10 cents, definitely still well below $1. But when the coin is damaged, the value starts to decrease. So, if you have a 1957 wheat penny in what we would call damaged condition, say it's got some scratches or dents, it's still worth a little more than face value. A damaged 1957 can range from 15 to 30 cents, depending on how much wear and tear the coin has taken. Now, here's something to consider. Even damaged coins can sometimes be valuable to collectors, particularly if there's a unique story behind the damage, or if the coin has survived in a way that adds interest, like being part of a rare find. For example, some collectors seek out coins with unusual damage patterns, such as those that have been struck by a die crack or show evidence of being part of a rare batch of coins. But generally, for a typical damaged 1957 wheat penny, the value remains modest. You know, just to put this into perspective, the condition of a coin is usually graded on a scale from poor to mint state, and even slight damage can lower a coin's grade. For example, a 1957 wheat penny in poor condition could still be worth around 10 to 30 cents, depending on the extent of the damage. But coins with more significant wear, like deep scratches or bends, could drop in value to the lower end of that range. So, what should you do if you find a 1957 wheat penny in damaged condition? First, don't just throw it away. Even if it's been through some rough times, it could still be of interest to collectors, especially if it's part of your personal collection. If you're not sure about the condition or value, it's always a good idea to get your coin professionally graded. A reputable grading service can give you a better idea of its market value, even if it's been damaged. And who knows, your damaged penny might be worth more than you think. So there you have it. The 1957 wheat penny, even in damaged condition, can still have value, though it won't be worth as much as one in mint condition. But hey, if you're a coin collector, every penny counts, right? Next up, the 1939 wheat penny without a mint mark. And, more importantly, we'll explore how much it's worth if it's in extra fine condition. So, let's jump right into it. Stick around to find out exactly what this coin could be worth in today's market, and maybe even how you could make some money if you have one in your collection. Let's start with the basics. The 1939 Wheat Penny is part of the long-running series of pennies, minted from 1909 to 1958. As you can see, the obverse features Abraham Lincoln's iconic portrait, and the reverse displays 2 ears of wheat. The wheat penny was a staple in American currency for decades. When we talk about coin values, condition is everything. The grade of a coin can dramatically change its value. In this case, we are discussing a 1939 wheat penny in extra fine condition. An extra fine coin is one that has very few signs of wear. You'll see some light wear on the high points of the coin, but most of the design details, like Lincoln's hair, the wheat stalks, and the lettering, should be clearly visible with no major signs of wear. Extra fine coins still have most of their original luster, and you'll see the coin is still crisp and well-defined, though not as pristine as a mint state coin. That makes it valuable. That may not sound like a ton, but for a coin that was minted nearly 85 years ago, that's pretty solid. It's definitely worth more than just face value, and that's what makes these coins so interesting to collectors. So, why is a 1939 wheat penny in extra fine condition worth so much more than a regular coin in good or fine condition? Well, part of the reason is scarcity. The 1939 penny was produced in high numbers, but the ones that have survived in better condition are fewer, and they're more desirable to collectors. The 1939 is considered a common year for the wheat penny series, meaning that there were millions minted. However, the fewer that remain in extra fine condition or higher make these coins more valuable in the eyes of collectors. If your 1939 wheat penny is in even better condition, say in mint state or MS63, its value could increase significantly. A coin in MS63 or higher could be worth around $20 or more. But don't expect that from a typical 1939 in extra fine condition. While extra fine condition is excellent, if you're lucky enough to have a higher grade version, that's where you could see the biggest returns. Now, if you think you have a 1939 wheat penny in extra fine condition, you may be wondering where to sell it or how to find out its true value. You can start by visiting online coin marketplaces, checking out auction results, or even getting it professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC to get an official evaluation. Professional grading can help you get the best price for your coin and ensure you're getting a fair deal. A certified coin can be more valuable because buyers trust the grade given by a reputable service. So there you have it, your 1939 wheat penny without a mint mark in extra fine condition could be worth anywhere from $6 to $8 today, depending on its exact condition. And if you have one in even better shape, you could be looking at an even higher value. Next up, the 1947 wheat penny without a mint mark that has this unusual black color shade condition. What's going on with this coin? And more importantly, how much is it worth in today's market? Stick around as we dive into the value of this coin and explain why its unique color may actually affect its worth. Let's get into it. The 1947 wheat penny is part of the famous series of pennies that were produced in the US from 1909 to 1958, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 ears of wheat on the back. These coins were minted in large quantities, but they are still a popular collectible among coin enthusiasts. Now, when we say without mint mark, that means this coin was struck in Philadelphia, the only mint where coins were made without any identifying letter. Coins produced in other mints, like Denver or San Francisco, would have a D or S mint mark, but the Philadelphia coins didn't have that. So let's talk about this black color shade we're seeing. This is not the normal look for a 1947 wheat penny. Most pennies are of reddish brown or copper color, but sometimes they can develop a dark blackened appearance. This typically happens due to several factors, including environmental exposure, tarnishing, or being stored improperly over the years. One of the most common causes for this kind of blackened look is toning, the result of a coin reacting with air, moisture, or even chemicals over time. A coin that's been exposed to high humidity, for example, could take on a dark patina, which sometimes gives it a blackish hue. When it comes to predict a coin's very valuable, supposedly, if it's very dark or unevenly toned, coins in mint condition or with a clean, bright appearance tend to be more valuable. Their collars usually come to mint. It's a surprise to find coins after mint has been burned. On Wednesday, please win this coin to an even B. The symbol close to it is exquisite consecration to the Creator mind and spoils. However, there are exceptions. Some collectors actually seek out coins with unique toning because they find it visually interesting or historically significant. The value of this 1947 wheat penny in black shade condition really depends on the severity of the toning and the preferences of potential buyers. So, what's this 1947 wheat penny worth in today's market? A regular 1947 wheat penny in average circulation condition, like good or fine, is worth about 3 to 5 cents. It's still worth more than its face value, but not by much. But for a 1947 wheat penny with a black shade condition, the value can vary a lot depending on how much the toning affects the overall appeal. If the black color is uniform and not too distracting, it may still hold its value in the 3 to 10 cent range. However, if the black shade is very severe or the toning has caused the coin to lose much of its detail, the value could drop even further, possibly to only 1 or 2 cents in certain cases. There is a niche market where some collectors actually pay a premium for coins with unique or colorful toning. These collectors are looking for coins with attractive toning, which can sometimes give the coin a more eye-catching artistic look. If your 1947 wheat penny has a unique, aesthetically pleasing tone, you could see it fetch a higher price at auction. However, these cases are relatively rare, and in general, a coin with a dark or blackened shade is usually seen as less desirable. So, don't expect to get a high price unless the toning is truly exceptional or the coin is in high demand for some other reason. If you think you have a 1947 wheat penny with an interesting black color shade and you want to sell it, there are a few ways to go about it. You can check online auction sites like eBay, where people buy and sell all kinds of unique or toned coins. Alternatively, you can take it to a local coin dealer who can help assess its value and let you know if it's worth selling. Just be aware that dealers might offer you less if the toning is severe or detracts from the coin's overall appeal. So, to wrap it up, a 1947 wheat penny without a mint mark in black color shade condition might still have some value, likely in the 1 to 10 cent range, depending on the severity of the toning and the collector's interest. While coins with unusual toning can sometimes fetch more, most blackened pennies tend to be worth less than their counterparts in better condition. If you've got a 1947 wheat penny with some unique toning or discoloration, don't just toss it out. It could still be valuable, especially if you find the right buyer. And remember, always check its condition and get it professionally appraised if you're unsold. Next up, the 1955 wheat penny with a D mint mark, specifically in extra fine condition. If you've got one of these in your collection, you're going to want to stick around because the value of this coin might surprise you. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe for more coin tips and valuable insights. Let's jump right into the value of the 1955 D wheat penny in extra fine condition. The 1955 wheat penny is one of the many years in the iconic Lincoln series, first introduced in 1909. This coin features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse shows 2 ears of wheat. A D mint mark on the reverse indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The 1955 D wheat penny is part of a high mintage year, but that doesn't mean all of them are common or without value. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in its worth. When we talk about coin value, condition is absolutely key. A coin's grade is determined by how well it's been preserved. The grading scale ranges from poor to mint state, and today we're focusing on the grade of extra fine. An extra fine coin means the coin shows only light wear, with most of the original details still intact. On a 1955 D, you'll see very little wear on Lincoln's hair, the wheat stalks on the reverse, and the lettering. There might be a slight smoothing of the highest points, but the overall design is still clear and crisp. Coins in extra fine condition are highly desirable because they've been well preserved, but not so much that they've been locked away in a safe or left in a perfect state. This makes them accessible to more collectors. So, what's the value of a 1955 D wheat penny in extra fine condition? Well, the good news is that these coins are definitely worth more than just their face value of 1 cent. In extra fine condition, the 1955 D wheat penny typically ranges from about $2 to $6. The exact value depends on factors like the level of wear, the quality of the strike, and the coin's overall appearance. Some might go for even more if they're in extra fine condition or have other special qualities. Now, the value of your 1955 D wheat penny can vary based on several factors. Let's break down what makes a coin in extra fine condition stand out. First, the strike. If the coin was struck well with clear details, it's going to be worth more. A weak or worn strike reduces its value. Next, the preservation. Even small details, like how well the coin has been stored, can make a difference. Finally, the market demand. If collectors are particularly interested in the 1955 D, or if there's a spike in interest for certain years, the value could see a temporary increase. Now, here's an important note. There's a rare and valuable error coin from the same year. The 1955 D double die obverse is a highly sought-after variety where the die was misaligned, causing a doubling of the inscriptions on the obverse. If you happen to have a 1955 D with this double die error, you're looking at a coin worth significantly more. These coins can fetch anywhere from $500 to $1,000 or more, depending on the condition and the exact nature of the error. However, it's important to note that this is a rare occurrence. The regular 1955 D wheat penny in extra fine condition is still valuable, but it won't reach those same high numbers unless it has that error. So, what do you do if you've got a 1955 D wheat penny in extra fine condition and you want to sell it? The first step is to determine its grade. If you're unsure, you can get it professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. A certified coin will generally sell for more because buyers trust the grade. Once you've determined its value, you can list it on online marketplaces like eBay or take it to a reputable coin dealer. Just keep in mind the prices can fluctuate, so it's always a good idea to do your research before you sell. So, to summarize, a 1955 D wheat penny in extra fine condition is worth between $2 and $6 in today's market, with the potential for more if the coin is in near perfect condition. If you find one with the double die error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. If you've got a 1955 D wheat penny in your collection, 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny. The 1952 D Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted during a time of prosperity in the United States. The D mint mark indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint, which produced over 746 million of these pennies that year. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the iconic wheat penny design pays homage to President Abraham Lincoln and celebrates America's agricultural roots with the wheat stalks on the reverse side. Let's break down the key features of this coin. The obverse side features a profile of Lincoln with the inscription "In God We Trust," Liberty, and the minting year 1952. The reverse side displays two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. But here's where things get exciting for collectors. The 1952 D penny has a few known minting errors. Keep an eye out for repunched mint marks, where the D mint mark might appear to have been punched more than once, and die cracks or cuds, which create raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin. Now, let's talk value. The worth of your 1952 D Lincoln Wheat Penny depends largely on its condition or grade. Most circulated 1952 D pennies are worth around 3 to 10 cents. However, uncirculated examples in mint condition can fetch anywhere from $2 to $15. Coins with errors, or those graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services, can command prices of $100 or more. Here are some quick tips for collectors. First, examine your coins carefully, using a magnifying glass to spot any errors or signs of wear. Second, protect your collection by storing coins in holders or albums to prevent damage. Finally, for higher value coins, consider professional grading to authenticate and maximize their value. Next, today we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1947 D Lincoln Wheat Penny. Is it just another penny, or does it have hidden value? Stick around and you might be surprised. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features Lincoln's iconic portrait, while the reverse showcases two wheat ears, showcasing prosperity and abundance. This design remained in use until 1958, making it a staple of U.S. coinage for nearly 50 years. The 1947 D penny, minted in Denver, features the D mint mark just below the date on the obverse. Denver struck over 194 million of these coins that year, making them relatively common today. However, there's more to this coin's value than just its mintage number. The condition of a coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Heavily circulated 1947 D pennies with significant wear are typically worth only a few cents. Coins in fine to extremely fine condition with minimal wear and clear details can be valued at around 25 cents to $1. Uncirculated coins with no wear, often called mint state coins, can range from $3 to $10 or more, depending on the grade. What really excites collectors are rare varieties and errors. For the 1947 D penny, look out for repunched mint marks, where the D mint mark appears doubled. These can increase the value to $10, $30 or more. Other errors, like die cracks, cuds, or off-center strikes, can make the coin worth significantly more, with some rare examples fetching $50 or higher. Always inspect your coins carefully. Under magnification, you might uncover a hidden treasure. If you're collecting Lincoln Wheat Pennies, remember to preserve them in protective holders to prevent damage. Knowing how to grade your coins is crucial for evaluating their condition and value. And always keep an eye out for unique errors or varieties that could make your pennies stand out. So, what's the 1947 D penny worth today? In circulated grades, it's typically worth 10 to 25 cents. Uncirculated examples can fetch between $3 and $10 or more, while rare errors or varieties could be worth $10 to $100 plus, depending on demand and rarity. Remember, coin values can fluctuate based on market trends and collector interest. Next, the Lincoln Wheat Penny, first minted in 1909, is one of the most iconic coins in American history. It was introduced to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features a detailed profile of Lincoln, the first real person to appear on U.S. coinage. Before this, coins featured allegorical figures like Liberty. The reverse showcases two wheat ears, framing the words Quo Donats and United States of America, along with the Latin motto Qui Pluribus Unum. This design, often referred to as the wheat penny, remained in use until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. In 1945, the United States was nearing the end of World War II, and coin production was booming to meet the demands of a growing economy. That year, the U.S. Mint produced over 1.4 billion wheat pennies across 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Let's break down the numbers. The Philadelphia Mint, which does not use a mint mark, struck over 1 billion coins. The Denver Mint, indicated by a small D below the date, produced approximately 266 million coins. The San Francisco Mint, marked by an S, minted around 181 million coins. With such high production numbers, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is not considered rare, but its value can still vary greatly depending on its condition, errors, and other unique factors. Now, let's talk about grading. The condition of a coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Here's what you need to know. Circulated coins are the most common and show significant wear from years of use. A heavily worn 1945 penny is usually worth just its face value or a few cents. Fine to extremely fine coins have minor wear but retain much of their detail. These coins can be worth 10 to 25 cents. Uncirculated coins, also called mint state, have no wear and retain their original luster. Depending on the grade, these coins can range from $1 to $5 or even more. It's always a good idea to check your coin carefully. Even small details can make a big difference in value. Speaking of details, one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is discovering errors and varieties. While the 1945 penny is common, certain errors can significantly increase its value. Here are some key things to look for. These appear as raised lines on the coin caused by cracks in the minting die. Each crack is unique, making these coins interesting to collectors. Off-center strikes. If the coin was struck off-center during production, it creates a misaligned design. The more off-center, the higher the potential value, with some examples fetching $10 to $50 or more. This occurs when the mint mark was stamped more than once, creating a doubling effect. Coins with RPMs can be worth $10 to $30 or more, depending on their clarity and rarity. Errors like these make even a common 1945 penny a potential treasure, so always inspect your coins carefully under good lighting and magnification. To preserve your coins and their value, it's essential to handle them properly. Use gloves to avoid transferring oils from your hands, and store your coins in protective holders to prevent scratches or environmental damage. A magnifying glass or microscope is a must-have tool for identifying small errors or details. Next, the 1941 minted wheat penny is one of the key dates in the wheat penny series, minted in San Francisco. Despite its relatively high mintage, the condition of these coins can vary dramatically, and when you encounter one in bad condition, its value can be quite different than a high-grade example. In this video, we'll be talking about what to expect from the 1941 S in poor condition, also known as a coin with heavy wear and little detail left. Let's take a step back in time. 1941 was a pivotal year, with the United States on the brink of entering World War II. This coin was struck during that period of intense global conflict, and while it may look simple today, it carries a lot of historical weight. The 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted at the San Francisco Mint. Over 88 million of these coins were produced, but many of them circulated heavily, meaning most you'll find today have been worn down over time. So, what does bad condition mean? Typically, A 1941 circuit penny in bad shape will have worn details, like a flattened Lincoln's portrait and indistinct lettering. The wheat stalks on the reverse may be completely worn away, and the coin could have discoloration or even corrosion. A key feature to check is the date. Sometimes, in bad condition, the year can be difficult to read, which makes identifying these coins a challenge. Now, let's talk about value. The 1941 wheat penny in bad condition, like this one, typically falls in the good to fair category on the grading scale. In these grades, its value is around 10 to 15 cents, depending on the specific wear and any other factors like damage or environmental corrosion. Coins in worse condition, such as those with significant damage or heavy wear, may only be worth a few cents. But don't worry, while this may not be a high-value coin, it's still a part of history. Even in bad condition, the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny holds value for collectors who are interested in completing sets or those who focus on historical coins. It's a reminder of the era and the widespread circulation of these coins during wartime. Keep in mind that better-conditioned 1941 pennies, especially those in fine or very fine grades, can be worth much more, sometimes up to a few dollars, but in bad condition, this coin will likely stay in the more affordable range. If you find a 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny, even in bad condition, it's important to handle it carefully to preserve what remains. Avoid cleaning it with abrasive materials, as that can lower its value. Store it in a protective case to shield it from further wear. 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny. While it doesn't get as much attention as the famous 1955 double die, this Denver minted penny is still a collector favorite. Minted at the Denver Mint in 1955, this penny was part of the last few years of the iconic Wheat Penny series, which ended in 1958. It's a coin from an era where the US was booming economically, and Lincoln pennies symbolized unity and progress. The obverse features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, with "In God We Trust" above and the date 1955 to the right. The reverse shows two wheat stalks surrounding the phrase 1 cent, a design that ran from 1909 to 1958. The Denver Mint struck an impressive 5, 6, 3, 2, 5, 7, 5, 0, 0 of these coins, making them relatively common. In circulated condition, these coins are worth about 5 to 20 cents, but in uncirculated, mint state grades, their value can jump to $5 to $25 or more, depending on condition. However, what truly excites collectors are the errors 1-1, 1-3, 1-2. These errors can increase the value significantly, fetching anywhere from $50 to $200 or more, depending on their rarity and clarity. Overall, the 1955D is a staple for any Lincoln Wheat Penny collection, and a must-have for those building a year and mint set. Next up, the 1947 Lincoln Wheat Penny, minted 2 years after the end of World War II. This penny reflects an America rebuilding and moving forward. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 1, 9, 0, 5, 5, 0, 0, 0 of these coins, making them fairly common but still sought after by collectors. The obverse showcases Lincoln's profile, with fine details in his hair and beard, while the reverse features the classic wheat stalks, standing tall, a symbol of agriculture and prosperity. In circulated condition, these coins are typically worth 10 to 20 cents, while mint state pieces can fetch between $2 and $15. High-grade specimens in MS-67 or higher have been known to command over $100 at auction. Keep an eye out for key errors like off-center strikes and die cracks, which can significantly increase the value. This penny is an excellent entry point for beginner collectors due to its affordability and historical significance. Next, the 1922 Lincoln Wheat Penny is where things get really interesting. While pennies were struck at 3 mints that year, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, only the Denver Mint actually produced pennies in 1922. This makes the 1922 D a key date for collectors. The Denver Mint struck 7,160,000 pennies that year, but poor minting practices led to some coins missing the D mint mark entirely, giving us the famous 1922 no-day error. Standard 1922D pennies in circulated condition are worth about $20 to $75, while mint state coins can go for $500 to $1,500 or more. The 1922 No D era is the standout rarity and can fetch anywhere from $500 to over $30,000, depending on grade and condition. This era occurred because of overused dies that left the mint mark faint or entirely absent. Collectors prize this coin for its rarity and uniqueness, making it a dream find for any numismatist. Next, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted during the final years of World War II, a time when the U.S. Mint was producing coins in high numbers to support the war effort. This year's pennies were made of copper and zinc, reverting back to the original alloy after the experimental 1943 steel cents. The steel cents were discontinued because they often rusted and were confused with dimes. By 1944, spent shell casings from the war were repurposed to help mint these copper pennies, a unique historical connection. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's profile, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the familiar inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1944. The reverse showcases the classic wheat stalks, framing 1 cent, with United States of America below and E Pluribus Unit above. This design, in use since 1909, remains a favorite among collectors. The 1944 penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 1, 4, 3, 5, 4, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 coins. These pennies do not have a mint mark. Denver Mint struck about 4, 3, 0, 5, 7, 8, 0, 0, 0 coins, marked with a small D below the date. San Francisco Mint produced 2, 8, 2, 7, 6, 0, 0, 0, 0 coins, marked with an S. In circulated condition, most 1944 pennies are worth about 5 to 10 cents due to their high mintage. However, in uncirculated condition, their value can jump to $5 to $10, with higher grade specimens in MS65 or above commanding $50 or more. Eras and varieties are what make the 1944 penny even more exciting. The 1944 steel penny is the standout era. A few steel planchettes from 1943 were accidentally used in 1944, creating one of the rarest and most valuable eras in U.S. coinage. These are extremely rare and can sell for $75,000 to over $100,000 at auction. Another valuable era is the 1944 D/S over mint mark, where a D mint mark was stamped over an S. These coins are sought after and can be worth $50 to $400 depending on condition. Collectors love the 1944 penny for its historical significance, abundance in circulation, and the thrill of finding rare eras. It's an accessible coin for beginners and a rewarding one for experienced numismatists. And there you have it. 3 incredible Lincoln Wheat pennies, each with its own unique story and collector appeal. Whether it's the common but classic 1955D, the post-war 1947, or the rare and intriguing 1922, these coins are treasures worth learning about. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to USA Coin for more coin history, values, and collecting tips. Don't forget to comment below if you have any of these pennies or questions about them. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.